Gilmore Girls, and I always wonder, how did they film this scene? They were so in sync. Well, you're in luck because, hi, I'm Valerie. I worked on Gilmore Girls, and I share a lot of fun facts from behind the scenes, and today we're going to break down the scene where Emily and Lorelai do their makeup at the exact same time. I'm not just going to talk about that moment. We're going to talk about the entire scene because it is a long scene, and you may not know that there are a lot of little things going on behind the scenes that you're just not aware of. First impressions of this scene, it's a long one, topping off at 5-minute plus, which meant it was at least a 10-page scene, which meant it took a majority of the day to film. There are quite a few angles, and those angles were kind of complicated. Let's get into it. The very first scene that we see is the setup where Lorelai is at the desk. Now, what you might not know is when we turn around on Rory, the entire wall behind Lorelai is gone, replaced by a dance floor that the dolly can sit on top of so that it can move seamlessly. On the flip side, when we are seeing Lorelai, the same thing is happening. They go through the entire scene from the top, shooting every element in each angle. Now, I'm just imagining poor Kelly Bishop waiting in the wings for her cue to knock on the door. She is waiting by that door for 3 whole minutes before she gets to knock on the door. What is happening when we are shooting all the other coverage? Kelly might even be in her trailer because if they don't need her, they don't have her on set. But during the master, she definitely was there waiting in the wings. Now, the first thing that happens each day is we have a rehearsal. The rehearsal will go over the beats of the scene, they'll figure out the blocking, and then they will figure out all the little tiny elements. They rehearse a little bit with the actors and director, and then eventually the entire crew comes in, they put marks down, and then the crew dismantles the set in whatever way they need to. For the master, they had to remove the wall. And another thing that I am noticing about this scene, those 2 beds are like smack next to each other. It's kind of funny. You'd think if it were a real hotel, they'd have a nightstand between them and no nightstand on the other side. But the reason those beds are that close together is because they needed to get all the actors in the shot. As far as the moment where they're doing their skincare routine in sync, that was accomplished with the help of our director, Chris Long. Imagine our director, Chris Long, sitting behind Video Village at the monitor. As the girls enter the bathroom, he gives his cues. Dab, dab, dab. They know the sequence. The cue is what gets them to do it exactly. Because this was a moment of silence, it was very easy for them to shout it out. Post-production sound would remove the director's voice, and a Foley artist would go in later and add in the subtle sounds that made it sound like they were actually applying their moisturizer. One of my favorite memories from this episode was Ed on set being absolutely silly. He was so excited to be working with other members of the cast that he was kicking up his heels and dancing. Let me know what other memories you want me to share.